In 2 seasons of 10 Minutes to Curtain, I've shown you many different aspects of the production process, but I've never done a piece that focused entirely on costumes, and I've gotten a number of requests for such a segment. So this month I thought it would be interesting to look at the costume process for the upcoming production of Othello. I started by catching up with costume designer Bill Black to hear about his approach to one of Shakespeare's classics.
We've chosen to set Othello at the turn of the 20th century, and from a costume standpoint, particularly in the women's costume, it is right at 1900. We made this decision because it was important to us as a production team to make the story as immediate as we possibly could. And the turn of the century is probably the latest we could play and still be reasonably accepting of people who carry swords and have swords as their regular form of self-defense. This is my third production of Othello, interestingly, and the only time that I've done it not in Renaissance costume. So it's been really interesting to me to explore these characters out of the context of the Renaissance. The turn of the century is still a time when women's clothing is restrictive and somewhat repressive. They're corseted, they're got up in ways that makes it harder for you to imagine them defending themselves. And in part, this is a story about a young and somewhat fragile woman who is thrust into a kind of all-male world without very much support. And it's a period where men are handsome and romantic and where women are quite lovely. And so it's been fun to explore that in the context of this particular play.
I also thought it would be fun to learn about how they make some of these beautiful costumes. So here to explain is the Denver Center's Tailor Sheila Morris.
For this production, one of my main projects is to make a suit for the character of Rodrigo, played by David Ivers. What I do is take the designer's renderings or concepts and using measurements that we take on the actors. We have a chart with 61 different measurements. I create patterns. This is a book I have that was first published in 1908, so that way I get the right shapes for the different parts of the garment, and then it will look like a coat from that time period. And then once I've drafted the pattern, I make it up out of this brown paper. The next thing I do is I cut it out of muslin, a less expensive cotton fabric. You can see from all the pins and marks that I made changes in the fitting, and we mark all that on the mock-up, and then I correct my pattern and cut it out of the real fabric. Put it together again, fit the actor again, and then finish the costume up. The next time I'll see it on the actor is probably at dress rehearsal, and then the show's open. And then it's the responsibility of the wardrobe department, which is a whole different group of people.